Hey, how you doing? Okay, so I just wanted to add this to the album, to my album. I'm doing it on the Spiral Times channel so that it serves two purposes. It's a message and I'm spelling out the message of my fifth album, Trickle Down. That's on my Angie's the Seashores channel. That's the name of my band, the Seashores. So this album, my other albums are more about like environmental issues, endangered animals, things like that. This one is about the homeless population and transgender people, more homeless people. Trickle up, meaning, so I've noticed that one of the tricks in life is that one of the ways you can tell like what to think these days is to realize that the Republicans, especially Donald Trump, are the biggest fools of the bunch. So basically, like if Donald Trump says stoop down, jump up. If he says go left, go right, and you generally won't go wrong. Everything he says is error, ignorant, foolish, and even dangerous and terrible. Horrible person. So anyway, so that's what I mean by trickle up. So he's saying trickle down. He thinks that we'll fix the problems of this world by building up the rich people, and then it'll trickle down and help the poor people, which is like, that's so stupid. I can't imagine how someone could believe something that dumb. But no, trickle up. Yeah, you help the people on the bottom, and it trickles up to the top. Proof is, if you hang out with the rich people, they're like watching the videos about the homeless people in Kensington Avenue in Pennsylvania and LA and all this stuff, saying all these homeless people and they don't want jobs and there's addiction and mental illness and all this, and all these transgender people and it's like they're looking at the people on the bottom and thinking that you're going to help them by helping you, and then somebody that thinks that way is going to help the people on the bottom somehow. They're the last people that could ever come up with ideas that could help a problem like that. Like, literally, how could that, that's absurd. If you help the people on the bottom, then when they look at the homeless people and that, they won't look so bad and it'll help them. Why can they not see that? So that's what it means by trickle up. So the title track, Trickle Up, so I have the three parts: Jaw Part 1, which is about Mother Mary; Jaw Part 2, which is about Yahshua; and Jaw Part 3, which is about the lion. So it's Trickle Up, Jaw Part 3, so it's about Haile Selassie, the Lion of Judah, and it's about trickle up, what I was just talking about at the same time. So the thinking is that, okay, so one thing they say, look at this, they live in all this trash and there's needles everywhere and all that, so then give them jobs. If there's a need, then pay them a job. Everybody's religion says help the poor, and it's just a fact of life. It's just a fact of life. Help the poor, it's just a fact of life. Don't be so thrifty that you build a city and you have your fantasy of how the city should be ran, where it doesn't include having to pay for the homeless. You're like, oh, why should they be able to this and that? No, that we need to get that thinking out of our head. Yes, it's our job to feed, clothe, bathe, take care of the poor people, period. It just is. It's our job. If it's our job, especially the rich people. So what we need to do is we need to have like a place outside of the city where homeless people can go, and they can set up their tents. They have things where they can plug in their phones, give them free phones, so they can get jobs and be plugged into the world. Bathrooms, sinks, and mirrors to get ready. And maybe fridges and freezers and stoves and portable stoves maybe by their thing, and then pay them money to go to clean up garbage, so they'll go from making garbage to how we clean garbage up everywhere, and pay them enough money that they can get any of the other stuff that they don't get at the shelter. Imagine a parent telling their child, so what do you want to be when you grow up? Because if you don't know yet, maybe you'll want to be a homeless person, and you can live outside the city and live in a tent and give them dignity and respect. Make it a good thing. Like, that's I think that's really admirable. These people that live outside of the city in these tents and that, because being one of the reasons I have a song about being transgender is, being transgender is a lot like being a homeless person. I was homeless for a very short amount of time, but and so I know that it's kind of like something you can't break out of. You need to have a job. You need to have a house to get a job, but you have to have a job to get a house type thing, or an apartment. But the mental illness factor of the whole thing, and drug addiction is a mental illness. So basically, it's enough just to say mental illness. For one thing, legalize cannabis. So that's something that's brought up in the song. The Lion of Judah comes in the cloud of cannabis. Legalize cannabis, and let them. Because like the first song, Trickle Up, I'm talking about how, like, I don't use drugs or things like that, but I do use Tabasco sauce, cheese. I like to watch the Eagles football. I like to watch the Celtics basketball. I like potato chips and chocolate and things like that, So they're not so different. You have things that you do too that help you escape, and movies you watch maybe, or a sport or a hobby or something. It's the same thing, For me, it's Tabasco sauce, I call it, Yeah, the sun's going down. So let them have their cannabis, and give them cannabis. Hey, yeah, go there, make sure they all have bongs and pipes, and pay them money to pick up the garbage, and make sure they have tents and showers and everything, and give them, let's go talk to them. Maybe some of them can write stories, and we can make them into movies and write songs. Some of them might be musicians, and and the more we accept them and make them part of the world, the more they won't go insane. And then legalize ibogaine. So that's why at the end of the album, I have a video on ibogaine. I'll put a link in the description box about ibogaine. Ibogaine is something the African shamans use. It's like a tree bark or something, and it gives them a psychedelic experience, so they're not addicted to cigarettes and opioids and crack cocaine and these addictions, likely fentanyl, without withdrawals, and then they give up the desire, and they see world in a different way, and so with the love and the respect and the ibogaine, the legalized cannabis, and their jobs cleaning out garbage in an area, so like they don't. So like, let's face it, they don't want jobs. They do too. Nobody wants to sleep on a sidewalk and be they don't want to be. Quit saying they want to do that. There's jobs everywhere I go there's help wanted signs. That's like, that's what I mean by trickle up. If you let the dipshits on top fix the problems, they'll never get solved. When you hear people say things like that, that's dipshittedness. That's what that's called, dipshittedness. And dipshittedness doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's how we're going to fix our problems. Trickle up.